The Courageous Coaching Podcast is hosted by Sophia Antoine, a certified life coach supporting women in their efforts to improve their self-esteem. Today we're talking about life, relationships, and everything in between. Take it away, Sophia.
Welcome to another episode of the Courageous Coaching Podcast. As you know, my name is Sophia Antoine, and I'm your certified life and relationship coach. What I do is encourage women to work through their past emotional pain and stop being people pleasers. Today, I have the great honor of having Julia Royston here with me, as well as Shannon Griffin. They are here to talk about the book, The Smell of Poverty. And ladies, I'm so glad you're here. Well, Shannon, we spoke a little bit previously, so I am going to allow Julia to introduce herself because my audience knows you all too well.
Well, thank you so much, Sophia. And hi, Shannon.
Hi.
And hello, everybody else. Oh, my goodness. So I'm Julia Royston of BK Royston Publishing, mostly known as the Message Motivator, motivating you to be all that you can be, helping you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth through writing and publishing and promotion. So BK Royston Publishing is here to really help you write your story, get your story out there. And I'm excited and over the top ecstatic to be here this evening with Sophia and Shannon. And we're excited to tell you about a new project that we have out. But even before getting to the project, I want to encourage each and every one who will see it live or on the replay, please, please, please tell your story. There is somebody out there who needs to hear your story, who needs to be encouraged by it. And even if you're telling your story, and I find this, sometimes people say, well, my story's not perfect, or my story has some flaws in it, or I made some mistakes and it didn't turn out so good. That's great, because that makes you real. That makes you authentic. And there's somebody else whose story didn't turn out great, whose story is they're working their way through it, or they're having a struggle, or they're having a problem. I can't move through my struggle if I feel like I'm all by myself. But if somebody else is willing to tell their story, willing to help somebody else, we can lock arms and go through this thing called life together so that we can be all that we were designed to be, put on this earth to be, created and destined to be. There's a gift, there's a talent, there's an ability. There's something that only you can do when you do like you do, when you do it, only you can do that thing, and the world needs to know about it. So that's, in a nutshell, what I do is help people get the gifts that are in them out, and especially through writing and publishing.
Awesome. Julia, that was an amazing introduction. But let me ask you, because this thing about imperfect stories, that just touched my soul. Everybody thinks you have to have something perfect to put out. In regards to that, would you say that imperfect stories are the ones that touch us the deepest?
Touches the deepest and make the most sense, because a lot of things, I won't say everything, but a lot of things that we go through, one, doesn't make sense. And usually what happens is the thing that is designed to really dampen us and really freeze us like a deer in headlights and keep us from moving forward is that we're in it alone. And that even if we made the mistake, we're the only one, and the shame and the condemnation and all the other that is there, not only, it doesn't help us move forward, it just puts us in a closet, holds us in a box so that we don't move forward. But if we know that somebody else has had the same issue, or somebody else has gone through the same problem, and somebody else made the same mistake, or trusted the wrong person, or went through the wrong door, or took the wrong job, and how they were delivered and how they got out of it, then it makes life a whole lot easier. That perfect, I'm always a little skeptical when everything's working perfectly and everything's just all lined up and they made all the best decisions and they're making all the millions of dollars and they've never been broke and they've never been hungry and they never dated the bad guy and they never, trusted the wrong friend and they've never been stabbed in the back. I'm a little leery. I'm just not, I'm just like, ooh, wow, that's a life I don't understand and I haven't been there. So Congratulations.
Exactly. So in participating in the book with Shannon, was that what appealed to you? Was the opportunity to tell your imperfect story?
Well, my story is a little bit different than
Okay.
everybody else in the book, and I'll go ahead and go there. The Smell of Poverty is something that is an anthology, and thank you, Shannon, for bringing it to BK Royston Publishing, and we're honored and privileged and humbled to present it to the world. But one of the biggest things is that I wasn't necessarily personally raised in poverty. I was raised to a very hardworking family. So it's not the silver spoon. No, none of that. We worked. I worked since I was like 9 years old in my father's business, and he was a school teacher in the day, and then we had a cleaning service at night. But what appealed to me to this story is I've spent the past 22 years in education. And I do, as most of you know, some of you may not know, I retired this July 1st coming up. So I only have like 2 or 3 months left to go before I'm retired. But the first 10 years in education, I was in a private Catholic all-girls high school. So there was a range of the silver spoons to, to all the gamuts of socioeconomic status. Now, but the past 12 years, I have been in public elementary school. And this public school is what's considered a Title I school. And my school ranges anywhere from 88 to 94% free and reduced lunch. So that means every student in my school receives free breakfast and free lunch. They also do not pay for field trips or anything of that nature. And we have basically a complete clothes closet that we can dress or provide for the children inside and out. So that appealed to me, telling the poverty story of what I've seen and experienced, and really help support, because most of the teachers in my school have given in some kind of way. We give them graham crackers on the way out the door. We do blessings in a backpack where they take food home on the weekends. We've seen kids with the soles of their shoes coming off, and we put our money together to get them a pair of shoes. Coats, underwear, t-shirts, socks, shoes. We, as they say, from the rooter to the tutor, we've helped children. So that was an eye-opening experience for me to see that up close and personal. And not only poverty does have a smell, it definitely has a smell. And in my classroom, I'm the computer technology teacher. So I see every student every week. So I'm an itinerant teacher. So they come to me usually once a week, some classes twice, but once a week. And because I don't have everybody's dealing with the, nasty fingers, I make sure that I give each child a squirt of hand sanitizer as they come in the door. So when they do that, I'm able to see every child from head to toe. I miss things. I get things that the teacher actually misses, who sees them every single solitary day. So I can look and I smell children, everyone who comes in my door. So it has been, the smell of poverty was a real place for me from my experience being in that elementary school for 12 years. I've seen it. And then I met the parents and some of the mentality that goes along with it. So the smell of poverty clearly has a smell. It gives off a scent, but it also has a mindset as well. So that's really kind of my affinity for it. It's a tribute to the children that some that are just victims. They're just total victims because they're underage. They're 10 or younger. They're, just a victim of circumstance. And, trying to teach past that, trying to encourage past that, and more than anything else, trying to see past where they currently are located and the situation. It's a lot. It's an uphill battle. It's a lot.
Wow, that was a very visual description of the title of the book from your perspective. Now, Shannon, when Julia just described that, is that sort of what you had in mind when you came up with the title of this anthology?
The title came, I was broadcasting, because I'll go live, and I was talking and I was sharing with everyone about my own personal journey, and when I was doing the Survive and Thrive for cancer survivors, and I shared with sponsors about what I went through and why I do what I do. And even despite, going through cancer and chemo and radiation, I still continue to come and give because that's the field I'm in. I'm in the field of social work. I've been in nonprofit for over 20 years. So I've been serving families and people, in different communities for a long time. So despite having cancer, I kept moving and kept providing. So I shared about how growing up and being born in poverty, that's all I knew. And I knew poverty, and I knew, and now when I work with clients, I smell it. And I've smelled it with family members. I've smelled it with people and clients that come in. And over the period of years, I've smelled it, but I've never expressed it and, kind of put it out there. Every now and then I would talk to people and I would say, poverty has a smell, and I've smelled it before. And I'm kind of the type, I look at patterns. So I sit back and watch because I see everything. And I sit and I watch things and I pay attention to certain things that I notice, and I notice that smell. And I said, you know what? That's a poverty smell, and I know exactly where it came from because I knew it and I smelled it. So when I was live and I talked about it and I said, poverty has a smell, and then people started chiming in, and I said, okay, let's do a book called The Smell of Poverty. And it just went and bloomed after that.
It snowballed from there.
Yes, it did.
Absolutely. That's great. Well, I mean, you guys are so descriptive, and it seems like you're so passionate. So what do you want, Julia, the women that read this, because mostly I think this book will appeal to women because there are mostly women in there and one male, if I remember correctly. Shannon, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
But what do you want them to draw from your story in particular? Because I know what touched me is because for a while, I was a single mother. And I had my children in a Title I school before I was able to move out of that neighborhood because I got more education. But what do you want women to draw from this in particular? Because it seems that most of the time, right now, women set the tone for the homes, and children are looking to the women as to where to go.
Well, it may seem cliche as well. First off, not only just my story, but all the 16 stories that are in this book are designed to encourage, first off, to let people know that they're not the only one. And some people may see themselves and understand that I've been in that same similar situation. I've seen that same thing. I've had that same smell. I had the same thing happen to me. And not only read the stories, but also look at the bios. That's where they started, but that's not where they ended. That's not where they are now. And more than anything else, I want people to be encouraged. I want people to know that it doesn't matter where you start. It's where you change your mindset to go, and that it's not hopeless. Because and a lot of it has to do too with definitely your mindset, your attitude, your outlook, because even though you may be in a socioeconomic state, there are some people that have all the money in the world and still have a poverty mentality.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily mean, because I've seen both sides of it. I have seen people who, quote unquote, were living in the hood, in the projects, and that was just a temporary situation. They could see past it and they got out of it. And I've met them since high school and since school and seen them out of it. It was just temporary. This is just where we are right now. We're not going to stay here. And they meant it. They didn't just talk it. They meant it and moved every heaven and earth to get out. And they did. And so a part of this book, there are people in this book that have moved heaven and earth, changed their life, changed their mind, and that was just a temporary status. And so for women, it is the year of the woman. Let's just be honest. If we look at the news and everything going on, it is the year of the woman. It's always been the year of the woman, but it's really at the forefront right now with everything in the movies and everything that's going on now. So take advantage of that. You have to draw a line in the sand or decide this is where you want to go. And you have to see it in your mind, even if the situation around you is not supporting that or not exemplifying that. You have to see it. Once you see it in your own mind, then you